Hi, my name is David Harris. I work with the Jolt Services. I represent media services. And what I'm here to show you today is the Sharp Interactive Display and how to get started with using it. Um, the first thing you want to do whenever you walk up to this is you notice there's a blank screen. And you want to hit the power button that's at the bottom left of the board if you're facing it. And you just press this button and the power should come up on this in just a second. And you'll get a message that'll tell you whether it's turning on or off regardless, but when you're powering it up, you'll always get that message, or powering it down. So now I've got the Sharp Interactive Display up. You'll notice it resembles a computer screen, and that's because it is. We are using the Windows 10 operating system, and I've got it configured so that you can see all the tools that are available to use with this. It has Office 2013 installed, and we have something called the Pen software. When you're using this board, you can use your finger to write on the board, or you can use the pen that's included. It is nothing more than a piece of plastic with a writing tip on it. And then there's also an eraser that the board recognizes. It knows the difference between these two. To start off with, I'm just going to show you the interactive portion of the board. So if you're wanting to interact with it, you can use your finger, like I said. So for this particular OS, we're not using Internet Explorer. We're using something called Edge, which is the new browser that's included with Windows 10. So here you can see the web page for Johnston Community College. And if, let's say, you want to look at upcoming events and you need to scroll up, you can just grab the page like this with your finger, and you can pull it up just like that and scroll up and down and go to where you need to. If you're looking for the Fall 2016 Advising and Registration, you can click on that link and it'll take you directly to that page with just a finger touch. As I said before, you can use the pen too. So you can select different items with it. It's whichever you choose. This kind of gives you an idea how to interact with the browser. If you wanted to type something, you can do that. And then you have a keyboard with Windows 10 that's located in the taskbar at the bottom. And you can tap on that to bring it up. And it looks like a little keyboard. Now this keyboard, it'll show up wherever you used it last, but you can move it around on the page. You can put it wherever you need to. So if it's covering something up on the board, then you can just move it out of your way. So let's say I want to look up credit hours. Not sure what that'll pull up, but and you'll notice as I'm typing this in, it's going in that box because I selected that box as where I wanted to insert my text. And then I can close this out, and this will bring up a list of results for the Johnston Community College page. And I'm just kind of giving you an overview of how this interactivity works. So it's very much like using your smartphone. If you're comfortable using a smartphone, there's not really a lot of difference other than the size of the unit that you're using. So interactivity is definitely a big plus with this. You can stand at the screen and do what you need to do. The other part of this board that is very powerful, that makes it so that you can do a lot of things at once, is you can actually write on this and do all your write-up on the board. So if I wanted to do, say, like a math problem, I can start writing right off the bat. I can write that on there, and I can solve the problem too if I want to. So I would do 4x equals 1, and then x equals 1/4. So you can see I'm actually writing on this like it's a whiteboard. And it comes up with a graph so that you have some way of keeping things in alignment if you need to. What I'm using right here is just a default tool that shows up when you open up this program. So once you've opened the software, the pen software, which is showing up here in the taskbar, it defaults to the pen. And you can change these pens. So if you wanted to highlight something, you can choose a different pen, and you tap that twice, and then it gives you the option to change the properties of the pen. In order to turn it into a highlighter, you make it translucent, and I'm just going to use yellow because that's what I used many, many years ago, and I can actually write over the top of this now. And the width of that is a little bit too thin, so I want to change that to something a little bit thicker. I'm going to change my width to 5 from 1, and then I can actually highlight a section of this if I want to. And you can see it's covering up the text that I'd written on, but it's not erasing it. I can erase everything if I need to, and I can move on to the next problem or whatever I'm trying to do. So what I've demonstrated here is the pen tool, and you have like 3 different pens, so you can customize them all for whatever you're trying to do. You have a pen, a brush, a marker, and a figure pen. And then you have your widths that you can choose. Like I was showing with the highlighter, you can change it to make it big enough or small enough depending on what you're writing on. And you can choose your colors. And you can also make a custom color just by hitting the down arrow below the colors that are chosen. On this menu, you have an eraser, which you can customize the eraser if you need to. You've got 4 selections for the size of the eraser, and then you also have the option to just clear the sheet. You have an undo, which is useful for if you need to just go back a step or you accidentally wrote something you didn't want to. At the bottom of this menu, there's a page 2. And you can do objects, you can draw objects, you can paste something, you can open a document and insert it into this and then work with it within the whiteboard here. You can insert an image, you can write text into the page if you're adding something to be descriptive of whatever you're trying to show your class. You can save all of this as a JPEG, as a bitmap. So you have options on how you're saving it. And you can also print out whatever you're trying to do if it's connected to a printer. So if I show you the draw object, you have several choices. You have a circle, you have a parallelogram, a right triangle, a diamond, a square, a rounded square, another triangle, and like a trapezoid, and then you also have like lines that you can use to do automatically without having to draw them yourself and making sure that they're straight. These all work with the pen, and they also work with your finger. These tools can be used alone with this, or they can also be used as an overlay with the desktop. But before I get to that, I just want to show you you can add pages. So you can add more pages to this by hitting the thing that looks almost like multiple pages. You have your tools that you can choose where you can customize what you're doing with this particular screen. So you can actually change the style of the menu up here. You can change the icon size. You have your dual touch gesture. So if you're trying to do something and if you want it to react almost like you were double clicking with a mouse, you can do that. You have automatically find the eraser. It just means that when you use this eraser, it knows that you're using this and not the pen or your fingers. Defaults. Whenever you start a new page, a new pen software screen on this Sharp Interactive display, it'll always default back to whatever the factory settings were. So if you wanted to change, say, the third pen to always be a highlighter, then you can do that. You have that option. So now, whenever you start this program up, regardless of who's using it, the pen 3 will always be a highlighter. You can change your view mode when whiteboard is started. You can have it full screen or state when last closed. Typically, if you're using the pen software, you're probably just going to want a full screen. If you're using the desktop, you're going to use the overlay mode, and you'd switch between the two. You can turn these grid lines off if you want to. If you don't want them and you just want a white sheet, you can do that. So that is an option also. And just a couple more things. These are more advanced capabilities that we're not quite there with yet, getting them set up where you can email what you're working on to, say, your students, or send it to Blackboard. And that's pretty much the pen software right there. Just real quick, I'm just going to draw one object just to kind of demonstrate how it works. We'll make it black, we'll make it red, filled red, and you can make it as large as you want. And when you do that, you're going to get these properties where you can cut it, copy it, duplicate, delete, rotate. So you can actually rotate this in any direction you want. You can resize it. So you have those options too, and that applies for any of the shapes that you're using. Like I was showing you before, so you can change any of those. You can adjust them and change the orientation rotation-wise. If it's a solid object, you can change the fill colors. Okay. And I'm going to exit without saving. If I wanted to use the overlay mode, you're essentially using the same tools as you had in the pen software. It's just when you do this, it becomes a semi-transparent screen. It almost looks like your screen's got a little bit darker, but it's not. It's this to make sure that you know that you're using something with the desktop. So let's bring up the web page again. So I'm going to hide that for just a second. And the way I do that is I just toggle by hitting the icon at the bottom of the screen for the overlay mode. And I go into here, and then I toggle back. And I know it comes back. I'll know that it's back up when I see that the menu is on the screen. So the overlay mode is now active. You'll notice that the highlighter that we created in the default settings for the menu is now pen 3, and I can start highlighting what I want to point out to prospective students or people who are just reviewing our web page to see what we did to make the web page. It's independent too, so I can actually, if I take the pen, I had the pen in my hand while I was using the eraser, so it thought I had the pen at the same time. But you'll notice, if I just have the eraser, it does know the difference. And if I want to get back to just using the desktop without the overlay, I hit this again and hide it. I can go into here, scroll up, toggle back, and I want to probably just adjust that a little bit, make it smaller, and we're good. And that's not transparent, so what did I do? Oh, geez. Sure. Probably because I'm using pen instead of marker. Okay, so let me get rid of that. So one thing to keep in mind is if you're using the different pens, make sure you use the right pen for the job. So if I was using the pen, that's why it was covering up the text. So good point to note. When you're using a highlighter and it's transparent, make sure you use a marker instead of a pen. When you're done using this particular unit, you can close everything out. And I can also save and exit. I can save as a file, save to a same file that I've already been using. I can save as a PDF, or I can save as an image. So I don't want to do any of that really. I just want to close out the program and have done with that. I close everything, exit without saving, and when I'm done when I want to shut down this board, I don't have to go to the icon here. I can hit the power button that I hit when I started using the board in the first place. I can hit that button right there, and it'll start shutting down. And it's essentially shutting down right now. And you'll see the blue messages up there saying no signal. The computer is actually mounted on the back of this, and that's still shutting down while we're ending this training. And this is just a basic overview of the Sharp Interactive Display. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 919-464-2260. And you can also contact us on the Media Services site on the Jolt webpage. And I'd be glad to do individual trainings or as a group. Thank you very much.